Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to my channel, TGIF. It is Friday, so the weekend is here technically whenever you clock out for work. While you are here, go ahead and like the video and hit subscribe if you are feeling the vibe. Those of you who are interested in my personal channel, I just posted a new video yesterday. It is about a sick bastard who unalived and SA'd his own daughter. So trigger warning because it is really sad. I did cry while watching it, so trigger warning. But if you are interested in that, we go over the depths of how important it is to try to look at these things up front so these things do not happen. So just helpful tips and advice on dating as women, dating as single mothers, etc. So that will be linked in the comments if you are interested in that. I also have my 1 year post-divorce story on there, how my love life is going. I did a story time about how I fell out with my childhood best friend. So yeah, feel free to check out the personal me on my personal channel. Now, this video today, y'all, this is probably one of the best cheating stories I have uploaded. It's really good. And it's just like, it's unfortunate and it's sad. And I'm not going to get too much into it, but like, come on, bro. Like, you just doing too much and you too old to do this. But as you see on the screen, she is walking in the Atlanta airport right now. She caught her husband with his mistress, and she goes in depth with a story time on how this came about. I even have an update of her at the end. So yes, definitely watch it. And I'm going to leave my commentary at the end.
Hey y'all, well, it's story time in regards to that video I posted this morning of my husband and his mistress at the Atlanta airport. So, let me just preface this by saying, I'm a nice person, I'm a sweet person, I'll do anything for my family and my friends, and I'll help anybody out. Try to stay in my own lane, I try not to bother anyone or do any of that. But when people play in my face and plot and plan and do foul stuff, I'm not so nice anymore. And that's how most of us are. So let me start by saying on October 29th of 2022, my husband was scheduled to come home from a trip from Europe. He told me he had been over there working, and he worked a lot for his corporate job. I thought he was working anyway. Told me he had a speaking engagement in Europe. So I wanted to make sure that I had dinner and everything ready for him by the time he got home. So I called the airline. So I knew the flight number, and I was driving, so I couldn't type it in my computer, because usually if you just type a flight number in, it'll just pop up what time the flight's going to land. So I had to call the airline that day, and when I asked the flight attendant, or not the flight attendant, I'm sorry, but the representative, what time that flight came in, he asked for my husband's name. And I was like, you don't need his name. I was like, just give me the flight information. If I typed it in, I just need the flight information. You don't need his name. So he was adamant about me giving the name. So I gave him the name. He comes back a few minutes later and he says, Mr. Such and Such and Miss what's her name landed 20 minutes ago. So I'm in shock, because I've been married 25, 26 years, and I'm thinking I'm just married to this upstanding citizen. So I said, no, just his name. I don't know who that other person is, but just his name. And the guy states again, he was like, Mr. Such and Such and Miss what's her name just landed a few minutes ago, like 20 minutes ago. So I'm sitting in the Kroger parking lot like, what does this mean? I'm in a state of shock, actually. So my head is spinning by this time. My blood pressure's going up. And I'm like, what does this mean? So I'm like, okay. So right after that, my husband calls. And I was trying to hold it in and trying to hold what I was feeling in. So I was like, I'm not going to say anything right now. I'm going to wait till he gets to the house. Because he was like, oh, I missed you. It's been a long week. This is the hardest money I ever earned. But I wish you could have gone with me. And I was like, okay, well, you can tell me about your trip when you get home. So, okay, stand by, y'all, for the rest. So okay, y'all. So when he comes home, I greet him at the door, give him a hug and a kiss and ask him about his trip while he's unpacking. And so I'm like, show me some pictures from your trip. And he was like, oh, I didn't take any pictures. I was running around working, and we were just so busy and on the go. We were just, just going to and fro. So I was like, oh, okay. So when we go to have dinner, I was like, hey, I called the airlines to see what time your flight was getting in. And I said, they told me there was someone else on your itinerary. And I tell him the person's name. And he was like, who was that? And I was like, I don't know. You tell me. He was like, oh, I don't know who that is. And he was like, He said, they must have made a mistake. So I was like, well, okay. So I went along with it, but something about it, my spirit just was not feeling right. So I was like, something about this is just not right. So that night when we go to bed, he's sleeping over there just snoring. I'm over there tossing and turning because I was like, something about this just does not feel right. So something tells me in the morning when you get up, go check your credit card bills that are on the counter. So the credit card bills are all stacked up out on our kitchen counter, and I don't open them because I don't pay the bill. I mean, it's American Express bill each month. They be high. So I was like, I ain't got none on it, so no need for me to open them. But that was my account, and I added him to it years ago, and I just let him open it, open the bill and pay it. And there was sometimes I would open it, but most times I would just look at my portion of it and just keep it moving. So that morning when I get up, I go to church, and he tells me that he had to leave because he had to catch up on work and all that kind of stuff later on in the day. So I was like, okay. So I go to church, and when I come back from church, I get ready to go to the Falcon game. But something was like, check one of those credit card bills before you go. When I open up that bill, the woman that the airline employee mentioned that was on his itinerary, her name was up and down my credit card bill. Flights here, flights there, flights to Paris, Delta vacations, a country here, an island there. So I'm thinking this was in 1 month. So I'm sitting there like, what in the world? So by this time, y'all, I'm steaming, and I got to go to this Falcon game with my girlfriends and try to act like I'm having a good time. But the whole time, my mind is racing. So I was like, okay. So I come home that night. I stack up all those bills. I got bills for like 8 months worth of bills. Actually, that was October. So 10 months. I pulled from December of 21 to October of 22. And when I tell you, it was very telling. This woman's name was on every one of my bills for each of those months several times. So while I thought he was out working and telling me that I couldn't travel with him because, he didn't want to get distracted. Oh, he had a travel mate, all right. He had one. Stand by for part 3. So I go through all these credit card bills, finds this girl's name for months on my credit card bills, for the last 10 months specifically. So at that time, I try to call his phone, call my husband's phone and text him. No answer, no text back. So I called his boy's house because he told me he was going to his boy's house to watch football. No answer from him. So I texted him and was like, hey, is he with you? No answer back. Then all of a sudden, here come my phone ringing. It's my husband. Like, oh, I ran out to get something to eat. Like, what's up? And I was like, oh, you know what's up. I said, and I started repeating the girl's name. And he was like, why you keep saying that name? And I was like, I kept saying the name. So he was like, well, I don't understand why you keep calling the name. And I was like, oh, yeah. I said, your gig is up. I was like, you nasty. I was like, your gig is up. So he was like, I don't know what's going on. I'm on my way home. I was like, bring on home. I was like, come home. Because by this time, I'm furious. So I hang up the phone. I'm just like livid, y'all. I promise you. I think my blood pressure was on like 1,000 that day. So he comes in, and he come in like all Billy Bad, like, why you keep mentioning that name? And I was like, you tell me why I keep mentioning that name. So I was like, I'm going to ask you this. I said, I'm going to ask you one time. I said, no, I know the truth. I was like, was such and such on this flight with you? He was like, no, I don't know why you keep mentioning that name. I don't know who that is. I said, I'm going to ask you one more time and know that I know the truth. Don't lie to me. And it was like this mask fell off of him. And he sat down in his chair and he was like, yeah, she was with me. And I was like, okay. I said, so that's your girlfriend? He was like, yeah. I said, well, how long you been with her? He said, a couple of years. And I was like, okay. So by this time, I can't hold it together. I mean, I think all I remember doing, I remember crying, and I had a really, really bad headache. And all he said to me was, and this was what he says was really kind of like cut me. He was like he was relieved. He was like, at least I ain't got to lie no more. I'm sorry I hurt you, but at least I don't have to lie anymore. So by this time I'm like, say what now? So I'm screaming, I'm yelling. My son's upstairs. He comes down, goes back up, because I was like, everything's fine, everything's fine. But my head is like hurting like really, really bad, guys. So I come back to my bathroom to try to get some medicine. So I was like, let me take my blood pressure. Blood pressure was like 190 over 110 or some crazy like that. So I was like, I got to get to a hospital. So stand by. So by this time, my head is banging, and I know I need to go to the hospital. I know something is wrong. So of course, I'm crying. I'm hysterical, trying to put my clothes on. He's trying to touch me and pet me up like, oh, I'm just so sorry that I made you feel this way. Now, didn't really have any compassion in his voice, any of that kind of stuff. So I was like, don't touch me. So I drive myself to the airport. He was like, I'll drive you. I was like, I said, I'll take my chances. I drive myself to the airport. I get there. Blood pressure is off the charts, to the point they're like, ma'am, you're about to have a stroke. You got to calm down. And I really couldn't even talk. So they were like, you got to calm down. So they call my doctor. We get the medicine. They trying to get it under control. So I'm there for a couple of hours. So I come home and he's sitting on the couch eating Cheetos, like ain't happened, right? And it comes in like, oh, what they say? And I was like, they said they got my pressure, kind of down, because it went all the way down. They said, go see a doctor in the morning. So that night I could not sleep. I cried all night long, to the point when I got up that morning, I really couldn't even see. My eyes were so swollen. So I'm tore up, right? So I go out later that morning. He's upstairs. I come upstairs because I slept in another bedroom. He's around here like, like he having a good day. His burdens is light. Mine heavy, but his is light. So I come up, and then he's out in our family room, and I was like, look, I said, I don't know, and I'm still in a state of confusion. So I was like, I don't know what happened last night, and I was like, I don't know what I've done wrong, because by this time I'm blaming myself. I was like, I know I'm getting older, but I try to keep myself up, I try to look nice, do whatever I can as a wife. I was like, I've tried my best, so I don't even know what I could have done or what I can do. So I'm taking the blame. And he was like, oh, it's not you. Like, it's not you. So, but I'm like, no, like, it's got to be me. He was like, no, he was like, you're a good wife. You've been a really good wife. So I was like, well, I'll tell you what. I was like, I'm confused here. I said, so what we need to do, I was like, I think we need to sell the house. Let's move away, try to start over. You go to counseling, I go to counseling, we do some counseling, and we start over. So he was kind of like real smug with it, like, well, if that's what you want, like, yeah, we can do that. So I was like, well, what about her? Are you going to stop seeing her? So he paused for like 20 seconds and kind of tilted his head to the side. He was like, I ain't gonna tell you I'm gonna stop seeing her. And I was like, then you want a divorce? He was like, oh, I don't want a divorce. He was like, I ain't gonna let nobody f my money. And I was blown away. Y'all, when he hit me with I don't want a divorce, but I'm gonna keep seeing her, let me tell you something. That was definitely the wrong answer, and told me everything I needed to know about him, about the marriage, and what I needed to do next. So for the next couple of days, I'm still in a state of confusion. And I remember once I found the girl's name, I went to Instagram, good old Instagram, you go look there, you find anything. So I look up her name, I see her, and I'm really like feeling down. I'm like, oh my God, like she's beautiful. He wants him someone younger, like I ain't all that, So, my girls called later that day. My best friend called that morning and was checking in on me, and I was trying to hide it from her, but I couldn't. So I'm like in a ball of tears, tell her what's happened. She's in a state of shock. And usually she always got something to say, but she was left speechless. So she calls my other girlfriend. She calls. We all in a state of shock. Everybody's tore to pieces. So that day, after, I tell them what happened and everything, we just call it, we all were shocked. So the next day I go and meet with them because I see this girl on Instagram, And I'm telling them about it. So they asked me to come out to lunch, have lunch with them, my two girlfriends. So, because they needed to tell me something. So, and I bring it up. I was like, well, I see her pictures on Instagram. And I was like, she's pretty. And they were like, girl, she ain't all that damn pretty. Like, that's filters and plastic surgeon, a whole bunch of shit. Like, girl, it ain't even all that. And they were like, in Canada, like, we ain't trying to offend you. Y'all actually kind of favor each other. Like, she may be the younger version of you. So I'm thinking, like, I don't look like her. Like, that girl's, pretty. Like, I don't look like that. So in the interim, I was like, well, at least I said they don't have any pictures of themselves up on her Instagram. So my girlfriends was like, that's why we needed to meet with you, because they were like, there is a picture out there. So by this time, y'all, I'm devastated. So our food tries to come. We have papados. Food comes. I'm so distraught from tears and looking a hot mess. Couldn't really even eat. And we went into how bad off I was. You know you bad off when you can't do this. We needed to pray over our food. I couldn't even put my hands together to pray. I have never had that to happen. I couldn't even pray. I literally put my head down on the table while they were saying a prayer and cried. And basically they made me try to eat because I really could not eat anything. So it was just a complete mess. So when I get home, my husband, he was actually gone. I think he was gone, but he claimed he had a trip or something. And then he tells me when he did come home, like, well, I need to talk to you because I think we need a little break. So he was like, you need a break so you can think about some things. And I was like, huh? Like, I need to think about some things. He was like, yeah, you need a break so you can think about some things. So yeah, to add insult to injury, he tells me he needs to go away for 3 to 6 months for me to think about some things and to think some things over. And I was like, I need to think some things over. I was like, I don't need to think about anything. He was like, yeah, I need to go away so you can think about some things. So I'm like, okay. And this is a straw that broke the camel's back when he said this. And then I knew that this man actually had no love for me and that he had been planning and plotting for a long time. He was like, yeah, and if you find somebody in that 3 to 6 month time frame, I'll understand. Now, who tell their spouse that? If they really love you, they don't want you all sleeping with nobody else. Not if everybody normal, ain't nobody sick or doing anything like that. So I knew then, I was like, I don't have but one other option. Divorce is the only option for me. And I tell you, I prayed about it, asked God about it. And when I tell you, he was sending me signs. If you listen, he will send you signs. And he sent me sign after sign after sign, y'all. So I did. I filed for divorce. And each day I've gotten stronger. And I think my husband thought that, I don't know what he thought about me or what kind of person I was, but because he knew how I felt about infidelity. And I always used to tell him, hey, if something ever happens, tell me on the front end, because I'm going to hurt one way or the other, on the front end or on the back end. Just let me know, but don't play me for no fool. So he thought he got boo-boo the fool over here. So I was like, okay. And from this girl that you saw in the video, yeah, she knew about me. He would have her at restaurants, hotels, games, had other women serving me my drinks. They'd feet under my table speaking to me, and he's sleeping with all these women. That is humiliating, y'all. So, you know what? I was like, if you get the taste, I'm going to let you taste it back. So, to the airport video. Yeah, I was shocked. I was dismayed because that was my first time seeing them. I knew eventually that I would see them out somewhere. It's Atlanta, and hey, it's a small town. So it's a big town, but it's a small town too. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try my best to be classy and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes that just don't work, because when you go in the gutter, when people go gutter with you, and I have to apologize to Michelle Obama. Girl, when you said that, when they go low, we go high. That ain't my motto, because when they go low, I go lower, I go gutter. I'm going gutter. I'm going to swim down with the rats, but you're... So I was like, okay, yeah. So she knew, and she was on Instagram sending all her little subliminal messages and all of that. Like, yeah, okay, I got you, girl. But y'all, when all this is over, I got a little story to tell about her and the rest of his story too. Our story. It's actually our story, because it's my story to tell. So I'll share more with you all, but let me tell you something as a cautionary tale. If you all want to move on, just say you want to move on, y'all. Because if you around, you definitely going to find out. And just like him, my husband got the 1 and the 2. Be good. Y'all hear from me later. Bye. Hey, y'all. After after I posted that video of my husband and his mistress in the Atlanta airport, and I decided to share my story with you all, when I say that you all have shown an outpouring of love, support, kind words, prayers, just everything. And I just want to say how grateful I am, because that was very hard for me. And it's still hard for me. This is a journey that I wouldn't wish on anyone. This kind of betrayal and the lies and the deception, no one deserves that, and just reading some of you all's stories, it makes me sad to know that so many people are still going through this same thing, and it's not even about, everybody's going through it. Black, white, it has no color line, and men are going through it too, with women who are doing the same thing. But, I'm hoping that this will help someone know that they can share their story and not live in shame, thinking they can't say anything and to protect the other person. Those days are gone, y'all. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting me and loving on me during this time. So this is a love that I didn't even know I needed, but I needed it, guys. So, and for the Ride Out crew, y'all cracked me up, getting y'all Air Force Ones or y'all stomping boots. But y'all, I'm too old for that. And I'll tell y'all this, I'm just being completely transparent. When I ran up on them in the airport, I never knew what I would do if I ever saw them together. And I didn't do anything because I'm older now and I can't fight. I really cannot fight. And I didn't want her to put my... So I was like, I'm not doing that. So yeah, we're not going to fight. We're going to fight with our tongues and fight with the legal system. And since I'm still going through this process, according to my, trusted counsel, Rachel St. Fleur and Melanie Fenwick Thompson, I got to start thinking smarter, guys. So I couldn't, go off and do that. So I want to advise you guys too. Like sometimes we have to restrain. We do have to use self-restraint, guys. So I do appreciate you all, and to my super sleuth, when I tell you, y'all are better than the FBI, the CIA, Scooby-Doo, Perry Mason. Y'all are on it. But yeah, we can lean back on some of that now. We'll get it handled, guys. But thank you for your support. And for you all who said I stayed, I did not. I know my worth. And as soon as I got more information after I initially found out on October 29th of 2022, there was so much more that came out between that time and when I filed. But I can't share that with you all right now because it is actually, this story gets crazier and crazier. But can't share that with you all right now, but I will at some point, and I just hope that it helps someone else know that you're not going crazy. You're not alone with the gaslighting and people making you feel like, you are less than. You're not. So, and for me, for those who want to stay, that is your prerogative. I'll support you, but I'm not one of those you, me, and she kind of girls. There's not going to be no Eve and the Rough Riders on that one. No, it's either you and me. I value the institution of marriage. I made a commitment to God. I made a commitment to him, and he just didn't stand up on his end. So, it is what it is, guys. But I thank you all so much, and you'll be hearing from me soon. Hope y'all have a good one. Peace.
Hey, y'all. It's been many moons since I have been on here. All is well as can be. And I'm grateful for that. It's been a long year, like most of you all have had a long year, but hey, life is life, and we just keep moving on with it. So in January, I posted a video of my husband and his mistress at the Atlanta airport and shared my story about what happened before that day. I kind of went back in time from that day and started telling them my story. And let me say this first. When I decided to share my story, while walking blind and walking in the dark, I did so because I wanted to be impactful. And through my pain, hopefully I could help someone else who are in my shoes, who's about to be in my shoes, those who've been in my shoes before, where you can empathize and you understand what that feels like. And I wanted them to know that you don't have to hide or be ashamed because of someone else's actions, or their selfish actions, actually. It was really the start of my healing process. Some of you may agree or disagree with how I decided that I wanted to heal. And it matters not to me, because when you have a broken heart or have been deceived and lied to and betrayed, all you want to do is fix your broken heart, and you go about it any kind of way you have to. So for me, sharing my story was therapeutic for me, but everybody does things their own way. And I shared about how, basically the immediate aftermath of me finding out everything. So I kind of shared my story that way. Yeah, it's been heavy, y'all. And, there was no remorse from him. She was happy. She relishing in it. Wanted me to know, leaving stuff behind in my car, her panties, her hair, barrettes, things like that. She and her family were related, because then they could have him all to themselves. He paying her way, her mama way, her boyfriend way, her kids way, cash apping everybody, just cash apping everybody. But, he was just being an outstanding boyfriend to her. All while, I was sitting at home thinking he was being a good guy, handling everything for our family. But, such is life. We live and we learn. But he applied the pressure. And that is what he had been doing for a very long time. Calling you up, telling you a queen, sending you flowers, sending your mama flowers, an Louis Vuitton bag just out the blue, a piece of Cartier jewelry out the blue. And this is all in the beginning. This is all a part of that love bombing stuff, taking you on trips, letting your family go on trips, sending you and your girls on trips, naming perfumes after you, and, giving you special holidays, or 12 days of Christmas, and cars for your birthdays and all of that. Like, girl, I've been through all of it. So yeah, it's all a game, and it's the games that narcissists play, but I hope you're ready to play that way. So yeah, it's easy to fall for the trap though, y'all. It is so easy to fall into that trap. Somebody telling you you're a queen, and if no one has ever, treated you that way before, it is very easy to fall into that trap, basically writing you authentic love letters, and you thinking they're authentic anyway, but then you find out all they had done was stole some Stevie Wonder, Isley Brothers, and the OJ lyrics, and, sent them off, put them off like it was their own, But I'm finding out that a lot of these men who think they got a little cash, they all think they're little puff daddies. More money, more women, and they think, and I found this out later on, that it's okay, that since you got a little cash, that's what you can do. But not so. For 27 years, y'all, I thought I had a real diamond. Not so. But he got to take his mask off for me. But trust and believe, there are many, many more masks to go. Stand by. I'm going to finish my story. Hey, y'all. So I was saying that the stranger in my house wore a mask. I really don't even know what he actually looks like. All I know is how he made me feel. And especially after I found out about all of the affairs. And when I say all, you're going to find out more. But actually, when I found out about this, the first affair that I knew about with Sabrina, all I know is how he made me feel. And some of those emotions were like, or feelings were like, I said I felt worthless, unpretty, old, dirty, lifeless, just to name a few. And yeah. And all I can say is the week that I found out, all I could do was cry. I mean, I was weak. I was weak. And in that state of mind, y'all, all kinds of dark thoughts creep into your mind. And that's not a good feeling. I will say just some dark, creepy stuff comes upon you. And yeah, I'm going to just leave that at that. So, but the week that I found everything out, that, mind you now, they had just gotten back from her birthday trip in Europe. So that next weekend, he was taking her out of town for her anniversary. It was their anniversary trip. So I'm kind of tripping because I've gone through all these emotions. I got 3,900 million emotions and they on fire all over the place at this time. So when I found out about this anniversary trip, I was sitting there thinking like, he ain't giving not one. He don't care about me and nothing else. This is all about him. So I'm like, okay. So by this time, y'all know I'm sad, I'm angry, and it was just a mess. I mean, I tell you, they ought to make Inside Out 3, where they discuss what happens and show what happens when you find out your spouse is cheating. And I love that movie, Inside Out. I think that's a great movie. But anyway, anywho, y'all, my emotions were all over the place. And let me say this too. Y'all, don't cheat on a former police officer or anybody that got any kind of access to any kind of records. You know, they can find out anything. Phone numbers, addresses, all kind of connections. Don't do it, big dummies. Don't. It's not even worth it, y'all. It's just so not worth it. So, but anyway. So back to their trip. Now, mind you now, they just got back from this European trip, but they had to take their anniversary trip. So by this time, y'all, I'm heated. I'm heated like, oh, they just gonna play in my face like that. They gonna really play in my face. So I will say I was mad. So, I text the old girl, text both of them. And mind you now, a couple of days before, I posted under her pictures, because you know she posted all those lovely pictures from her European vacation. So I posted something under one of her pictures. And of course, she quickly took it down. I'm like, well, why you quickly take it down? If you ain't doing nothing wrong, then you could leave your picture up. But or leave my comment up, but she quickly took it down. So, and then had the nerve to post a video from Harlem Nights, that Sunshine clip where Richie calls and tells his son to tell the mama that she ain't never coming home. So I'm like, oh, okay. So it is funny to you. I'm like, okay, you got jokes. I like to laugh. I like to laugh. Shit, I like to laugh like anybody else. I got some jokes too. Stand by, y'all. Hey, y'all. So Sunshine got jokes. No remorse, but she got jokes. Now, mind you, she didn't make any vows to me. Not one. He did. But she got jokes. She got jokes during the most excruciating, painful time of my life, outside my mother passing away. She got jokes. Now, I told you about their trip, and I did not put him out of our home when they went on their anniversary trip. He just didn't come back, and he claims that he didn't come back because he thought I was going to do something to him, because the last time he spoke with me in person, my eyes were half closed. I was like, yeah, right. I was like, let me tell you something. I wasn't going to jail for that, ninja. I ain't going to jail for these kids. I ain't going to jail for you. That ride or die shit, yeah. I'm a ride all day long. Dying, I ain't doing that. And that's on everything I love. And a little bit of this Prosecco that's left, that's on everything. No, I'll ride with you and I'm gonna support you. I ain't dying and not over none of this anyway. Her, him, none of them. Just not gonna do it. But I was like, okay. So during that time, y'all, this was, it was pure insanity. I know that. And I'd asked him to come to get his belongings, come get his clothes and some of the other stuff that he had left at the house, because it was driving me nuts. The smell of him, the thought of him, just the memories of the home. I mean, during that time, it was pure insanity for me. And I just couldn't think right. It was like I was walking around in circles, and I really needed him to come and get his stuff. But of course, he gonna be all manly and talk about this my house, I paid a mortgage there. And I'm like, well, that ain't fair to me. You moved her here from California to Atlanta. You paying her mortgage too. Go live where you want to be. Like, it's not fair to me. Like, this is not fair to me at all. But I was like, okay. But anyway, I need to put my police hat on and try to get them emotions under control, because the handwriting was on the wall and I knew what I was going to have to do. I know I'm not that kind of lady that was going to play that game. And like I said, he had no remorse. She had no remorse. And I was like, I got to get to hustling around here and try to, find some things out, because I trusted him with everything. Let's just say this. My investigations turned up some brutal stuff. I mean, really, really brutal. That had an emotional toll, just damaging stuff all the way around. So, I mean, think about, him professing her love to her, and she professing her love to him, and her talking about his love making and how she was craving him and she couldn't wait till the next time. Like, don't a wife want to read that kind of shit, but I had to, and I did. And it's indescribable, actually, and actually, it's humiliating. It is really humiliating, because this woman knew about me. She's watching me at basketball games. She's in the same restaurants where he and I having dinner, watching us. He laughing, she laughing across the room. I can see her with her and her friends laughing across the room. Now that I think about it, I was like, wow. I had some friends that remind me of some times we were out to dinner, and they were like, she was there at the restaurant when we were all having dinner with her crew. And I'm like, how bold. I mean, just how bold of him and her. And I didn't have a clue. But I'm like, what's a wife to do? What you supposed to do? I'm going to tell you what I did. I'm going to tell you. So while I was contemplating ending my marriage, I spoke with several attorneys. I think it was maybe like 2 weeks in after I kind of found everything out. And some of the questions they asked me were pretty tough. And, I didn't know the answer to it. And I felt really, really dumb, because, for 26 years, I let someone else control everything, because I trusted him after all that time. So I didn't know where anything was, what we had, any of that. I only knew what he told me. So I really did have to go investigate. And there were specific things that the attorneys told me that I needed to look for to kind of prove some things if indeed I did decide to file for divorce. So as I, was going through all this, my mind is just completely, it's spinning. It was like a Cirque du Soleil show. I mean, it was flipping, spinning, twisting, twerking, you name it, my mind was doing it. So it just was not a good time emotionally for me. And anybody who's been through this will probably can attest to this, that, it's such an emotional time. You try to take the emotion out of it, but it's hard to do when it's still so fresh and so new. It's just like, this salty, it's just like this open wound that just kept getting salt and vinegar and everything else poured into it. So I had to, I had to pray to God to ask him to help me find what I needed to find out and to where to start. I didn't even know where to start. That's how confusing this whole situation was to me at that time. But when I tell you, when I asked, he answered. And when I started finding stuff out, like I said previously, it was brutal. And I had to, read and see a lot of things that I really did not need to see. I wouldn't put that on anybody. And it was to the point where, I was sharing some things with my friends, and they were like, girl, stop reading. Don't look for anything else. You're finding out too much, because I was just it was overwhelming. It was truly overwhelming. So while I needed to find those things out, it actually broke my heart even worse. I mean, it shattered really into 1,000 pieces, because like I said, nobody wants to read about their spouse being with someone else. It's one thing to know that your spouse has cheated, but when you get to see the intimate details and the pictures and the I love yous is going back and forth during my whole marriage, because to make a long story short, this was happening the whole marriage. So while I'm thinking it was just Sabrina, after I finished doing my investigation of him and Sabrina, you know, and I cried hard when I read that. And then the next one is like when I finish, you know, investigating Sabrina, here come Cassandra. I'm like, well, who was Cassandra? Then the next one, it was like, well, who is Myra? Then it was the next one. It was like, well, who is Patrice? I mean, and this was just going on. Like, it was like that damn DMX song. It was like Patrice, Latrice, Cassandra, you know, Blessed, Latoya, Valentina. That shit was absolutely nuts, y'all. I promise you. And it got to the point that at a certain point, I stopped crying and I actually got scared and was like, who really is this? Like, who am I really married to? But the crazy part about all that is, he was still being cocky as hell. Because I actually reached out to him and was like, this is pathetic. Like, you're pathetic. This whole thing is pathetic. He was still being real cocky. So I will tell you this before I take it in for the night. I was really upset. You know, I had found all these women, and I remember talking to a girlfriend, and I was like, some of these women knew about me. I said, some didn't, but a lot of them did. They knew who I was, had been at events with me, had seen me, had spoken to me, you know, had served me food, like the old girl at Stony River, Fatima, or whatever her name was. You sitting here serving me food and knowing the whole time that he financing your whole lifestyle and everything you're doing. I'm like, that was not cool to me. So what I did, and I know this is not going to be looked upon favorably, but it is what it is. So what I did was, after I found like the first 20 women, and this is in just like a 5-year span that I'm finding all these women, and it was more than that actually, but the first 20, I actually sent them all. It was crazy. I actually put them all on a group text and talked shit to him about him, and then put his picture in it too. And this is before I filed for divorce or any of that, because I was just angry. I mean, I was angry. So the crazy part was, some of them responded back. So there was some responded back like, this the wrong number. And I'm like, well, if it's the wrong number, Latoya, then block me. Then somebody else would come on talking about, oh, you losing your power. I was like, no, I'm regaining my power back. And if this not you, Monique, get off the thread, Monique. Then it was somebody else. It was crazy, you know. So these women were responding like, I don't know who you are. Well, if you don't know who I am and you want to give me advice, if this don't concern you, just block the call. This is not your number. So that did happen. That was kind of crazy. And what I did, I reached out to those women, because I'm like, if you're going to be a gangster, and like, why I got to protect y'all? Nobody was protecting me. He didn't care. They didn't care. So now all of a sudden, everybody was thinking I'm supposed to, you know, protect their feelings and how they feel. Like, nobody was concerned about mine. You knew he had a wife. He knew he had a wife, and nobody was concerned about me. So as far as I was concerned, I was like, well, okay, well, all of y'all can get some of this. And that may not have been the best thing to do, but I did it, and it felt good in the moment. It sure did. So stand by, because this story gets crazier. Hey, y'all. So I did text message his harem of harlots. Just 20 of them, though, y'all. I didn't know that I could have done a group me and put everybody in it, because it was way more than that, more than I really ever anticipated. And this wasn't even talking about the whole marriage. This was just for the 10 years that I could go back and find what I could, you know. Now, was my reaction to their actions with my disrespectful walking lie of a husband mature? Absolutely not. But it was necessary for me, for him, and for them. Because you just can't play with people's lives and then think that it's just going to be okay. You know, telling lie after lie. Y'all, just tell the truth. The truth will do every time. You know, and there were many nights where I didn't even cry. I wept. And that's a different kind of emotion. You know, that is very draining. It's hurtful. It's beyond hurtful. Hurtful is not even the right word. And there were nights where every day, actually, it felt like I had a ton of bricks on my chest. Nobody should have to go through that. So, you know, my purpose here is to let you all know, like, live right, do right, you know, and I'm hoping that this, you know, this is not fun and game for any of us. And I'm not looking back. Somebody put in the comments about somebody was looking back. Girl, I'm not looking back in my rearview mirror. I'm looking ahead. But I'm trying to give a warning to those of you all out here who are putting all your trust, all your eggs in that one basket. I'm not saying to not be submissive to your husbands or not trust your man or your female, because this goes both ways, but just be, just keep your eyes and your ears open, and I just wish I had, listened to the words of my mother years ago. She was like, always be prepared for the rainy day. And I wasn't prepared for the rainy day. So that's on me, so I can't blame all those women, because he knew he was married. Now, some of them knew he was married too. I just didn't like the disrespect, where if they knew he planned some event, why would you come to an event that my husband planned and that I'm going to be there, and walk around the room and come smile in my face and do all that? That's sickening to me, y'all. And I can't deal with that. But, he dirty, his people dirty. And I just don't know what kind of thrill a man gets from that, from having women that he's having sex with in the same room with his wife and just making up lie after lie. Anytime I had surgeries, it was always some kind of reason he could not be there. Or if he was there, he left the next day to go have sex with Pat in Dallas or Monique or whoever else, and Dania and Janice and Nicole, the whole little mortgage little whores they had over there down in Dallas at that company, So yeah, that's not cool for any of that, And the other thing that really trips me out is I didn't know how gullible women were. I'm gullible, but some of these women, when I say most of them, y'all, I didn't know that people will send naked pictures. I've seen more booby pictures, cootie pictures, just all kind of pictures from professional women. I'm like, now you should know better than this. You should know better. But, I guess getting those LV bags and the designer bags and the trips and the money and the dinners and him doing whatever he was doing and y'all doing whatever you were doing to him, I guess it was worth it for you. So I guess there is a price for everything. They put a price on it. He put a price on it, but you can't put a price on someone's feelings and someone's life, and you just can't play those kind of games with people. So, and that's all I'm trying to do, y'all. I'm not moving, not backpedaling. And for all you all who got some stuff to say, you can talk and say whatever you want to say. No one can judge me. There's only one person who can judge me, and he will have the final say in the end. I just want to help people as best as I can. And, it's just me sharing my story. And for all of you all, that are going through this, I'm just going to say, hold on, just pray and you'll figure it out and you'll get your answer. And just because, I decided to go one way, and if you decide to stay, go, or do whatever else, do that. But you do what's best for you and for your family. I had to do what was best for me, for my health, for my mental well-being, the whole shebang, y'all. So I just want to say thank you guys for letting me share my story. I ain't done. I'm just tired tonight. I'm going to sleep. I'm ready to go to sleep now. But there is more to this story than you can ever imagine. I'm just sharing a little bit. But when I come back, and I'm going to, take a little time off, but I want to tell you all about Andre. And I don't know no girls named Andre. Maybe you do.
Okay, so let's have this conversation. So the first thing I want to point out is I feel like it was a lot of spiritual intervention when it came to this story, especially from the beginning. She said that, being the good wife that she is, she wanted to make sure that dinner was ready. So she called the flight line and spoke to a rep who asked for her husband's name. Now, remind y'all, she could have just went online and looked up the flight, because she probably obviously knew where he was flying from and where he's flying to. So she could have looked up the flight and seen what time he was coming. But the fact that the flight rep said, okay, what's his name? And she's like, well, why do you need to know his name? And again, asked for his name. And she eventually gave them his name. And they said him and Mrs. So-and-so just landed. And she was like, what do you mean? I don't need to know who that is. And then they repeated again, him and Miss So-and-so landed. And I feel like that was God letting her know, you need to know what's going on here. You need to look into this, because that prompted her to later on look at the credit card statements, etc. So just imagine again, if she wouldn't have called, or if she would have just, if she would just looked online or just waited for him, so that it was time for her to know. So I definitely feel like that was good. And y'all know I talk about having a spiritual relationship with God, because your spirit guides whatever you believe in. Because of stuff like this, you need to have clarity. Your intuition needs to be working, and if you have not done anything for your spiritual health, then you could be slacking when it comes to that. that. Okay. So I think she luckily done a good job, obviously having a good relationship with God, etc. And it was just time for her to know. And that's why she knows now. Now, I don't know all the details surrounding their marriage. I don't know, like, if he was, making good money when she met him or not. Because I know some men will not make good money and they'll get with women at that time. And then once they start making more money and have access to more women, then they start to act a fool like that. But I don't know. And I don't know how much technically older he is than her. But I'm just going to assume, just from what I have heard, this is just my assumption. I feel like he already had money. Okay, when he met her. She said she was 29 when she met him. So, and married him, I guess. So I feel like he already was well off. He already knew what he was doing. She was 29. She was young, obviously beautiful, because she is still beautiful. And I feel like he's like, I got my young hot wife, blah, blah, blah. She already mentioned that he been cheating on her. She found out he been cheating on her. So I feel like he was, cool, happy for a while, chilling. And then, just start looking and eyeing more women and just start piling it up. Oh, I got away with this. That was easy. Let me add on another one. That was easy. Let me add on another one. Well, I got the money to pay for all of them, so let me add on another one. So I feel like it was more of a situation like that, to where I feel like he already was established. He probably gained more and more money as he got older, but he probably was already established. He got her being young, being able to provide and take care of her, because as y'all see, she lives, it seems like, a very good life financially, and her house was bomb from what it looks like in the background. So he knew what he was doing when it came to that. Okay, she was the age he wanted her to be. And again, I don't know how old he was exactly, but I feel like it was exactly what he was looking for. Okay. So what's crazy about this situation, though, is like women like this who think that it's just okay to be a mistress. Like, and y'all know I have the video on proud side chicks. If you don't know, scroll on my videos, you'll see it. I did a whole video on pride side chicks, where side chicks were telling you that they're a side chick, they're proud to be a side chick, why they're proud to be a side chick, etc. So definitely check out that video if you are interested in that. But it's the fact that, like, first of all, this woman, the wife, is already in pain, but that's not enough for you. You want to try to be funny. You want to try to continue to, like, show her like, yeah, I got your man, blah, blah, blah. It's one thing when you don't know that a man is married or has a woman, but it's another thing if you know and then you trying to be funny about it. And women like that who think like, oh, I'm young and because I'm young and I'm beautiful, I'm gonna flaunt this and blah, 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 try to make her feel bad, which she did feel bad. She started feeling bad about herself, but it's like that only goes so far. Boo, as you see, she was 29 when she met him. Okay, I don't know how old he was, but I'm assuming he was probably quite older. And as you see, as soon as she started getting older, what did he do? Replace her with somebody younger. So do you not think that that's going to happen to you? Oh, I'm sorry. It's already been happening. He has multiple women. You're not even the only mistress. He has multiple mistresses. So while you're trying to flex and do all that, you're not even the only mistress. You're not the only one he's spending time with. You're not the only one he's spending money with. Nothing. You're just one of many. At least she has the wife title. And what a lot of mistresses don't understand, why they think that stuff is cute. Well, I'm getting flued out. I'm getting this and getting that, right? Oh, well, he put me on his authorized user as his credit card, and he put me on this life insurance policy. He put me on that. What a lot of them don't understand is, as a wife can take that to court when he dies. Because let's be honest, let's look at him. I don't know how old he is, but with that gray hair, etc., he might not have that much longer to live. Okay, so if they were still legally married when he passes, everything that he left you, she can fight that in court. A lot of wives win. Okay, so if he left you this policy, she can fight that in court. If he left something in the deed, he can fight that in court. She can fight that in court. Okay, so please don't belittle the title wife, because wife holds a lot of power. Okay, that's the next of kin when he passes. So please enjoy your time while you have it now, because you really aren't legally entitled to much. And if she fights that in court, you probably won't have nothing at all. Okay, if you have a child by then, that's one thing. Your child might get something, but you really won't be entitled to anything. And your child might again get something if he passes. So I just don't like ugly spirited people. Yeah, she was beautiful. To me, the wife is beautiful as well. To me, they also do kind of look alike. So I do agree with her friends. I think that they have similar features, but it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter how great you are, extraordinary you are, etc. A man's gonna cheat if a man wants to cheat. Okay. And what's crazy about him is like, man, this dude, if this is not the definition of a narcissist, I don't know what is. First of all, you try to gaslight her to make her feel crazy. Oh, I don't know who that is. They did that by mistake. What are you talking about? Why you keep bringing up her name? Like, narcissist. Then got the nerve to say, ooh, I'm relieved. Well, at least I ain't got to lie no more. Not caring about her feelings whatsoever. You're relieved because you don't have to lie anymore. You don't care about her feelings. Then she goes to the hospital because of high blood pressure. Of course, she didn't want you to drive her, but you still should have went up there anyway to show your love and support. But why would you do that though? You know what? Why would you do that when you couldn't even be there for her surgeries? This man is the walking definition of a narcissist. Red flag, stay clear away from. He's only out to look for himself. Like, that is crazy. Then you got the nerve to tell her she need a break so she can go think about some things. Sir, that then another thing, you're so selfish to the point. I believe they have children. She says she has a son. Now, I don't know if that son is with him, but I'm assuming it is, and he probably does have children. Um, are you not thinking about what this would do to your child slash children, knowing that you purposely and intentionally cheated? She didn't do nothing to you. You already admitted she was a good wife, etc. And you just cheated, not only with one woman, but multiple women. And boys don't play that, especially boys to see looking at their mama cry, looking at their mama hurt, etc. They will not deal with you. They will not deal with you, a lot of them, if they know the truth. And while this story is out there publicly now, her child's gonna know the truth. So I don't know if that's his son or not, but regardless, you don't think about your children when you do stuff like this. Again, very selfish and definitely giving narcissists. And I've said on my past stories before when I spoke about narcissists before, that they say a lot of narcissists are actually bisexual. Look it up. Look it up on TikTok too. They talk about this a lot, but they talk about how a lot of narcissists end up being bisexual. Now, at the end, when she said, I gotta tell y'all the story about Andre. Now, I could not find that story on TikTok. She probably has it on YouTube. So definitely check out her YouTube. I am going to find it and put it on the screen at the end of my commentary, but she talks about on there. But she said Andre, and she said, that's not a woman name that I know of. Is that a woman name that y'all know of? Like, basically indicating like this is probably either a trans or a man. Okay, so am I surprised about that? Absolutely not. Because a lot of times they say when men are down low, they can't control their sexual urges. This man is gotta be in his 50s. I don't know how old, but gotta be in his 50s or up. And you telling me you still not disciplined enough to not be cheating or have a monogamous relationship? So if you are not satisfied in that way, then yeah, you probably are down low and probably messing with multiple women to hide that. So that does not surprise me at all. And I'm definitely interested to see that story, but definitely check out her YouTube and her TikTok in general just for updates in regards to this and the stories about Andre. I don't know because I haven't seen it yet, but I definitely am looking forward to watching it. Okay. Some people was in the comments saying like, oh, like I would have did this, I would have did that, da, da. And I get it. When we're a certain age like we are, we do be ready to fight, and I can't say even at this age that I wouldn't automatically fight because that's an impulsive feeling. So you may or may not. However, this woman is older. I don't know how old she is. She's probably in her 50s, though, maybe late 40s. And she said, I'm too old to fight, and I get that. I understand. Just like you are doing, fight legally, fight by your tongue, which she means by praying. Fight in that way, because baby, none of that is gonna last. It's not gonna last. Matter of fact, they already said in the comments that apparently him and that mistress that y'all seen on camera are having issues. I bet so. And what I'm gonna assume is that when all this start coming out and she started exposing all his other mistresses and stuff, she probably felt some kind of way. Because here you are posting all this kind of stuff online, like you the stuff and you number one and all that. I mean, number one mistress, etc. Baby girl, please, if he can cheat on his wife with this many years, with you, do you not think that he's gonna not have more women? Like, please be for real. Please be for real. And they said that they found him. She said that she found him on a sugar baby site. What did I tell y'all about sugar babies? Remember all the time we talk about sugar babies, some people be getting mad? Perfect example. These women who be quote unquote sugar babies be messing with these married men. Okay? Point blank, period. Perfect example. So, also another thing to keep in mind too, to mistresses, like in some states, the wife can also sue you for being a mistress. So please keep that in mind. Please stop thinking that all this is cute, because while you're posting all this being funny, that's just proof that she has in court. And if she lives in certain states, she can take you to court for that. So you're just looking silly and doing dumb things by thinking that you're getting over on her. And I seen on social media the other day how some men were praising little baby because he said that, he's not going to legally get married. He might have a ceremony and he might exchange vows, but he's not signing no legal documents. Let me tell you why men like little baby do that. The reason that he does that is because he's a known cheater. Okay? He don't want to be held accountable for anything. Because what is, like, if you don't want to legally get married, then why even exchange vows or do any of that? We don't need to do none of that then. See, men like him who cheat, they know good and well that if they cheat, they will have to be held accountable for that in court. When you get married to somebody, that is your business partner. That is somebody who you are going in business with. And see, a lot of men know that. They're like, oh, well, it's only bad for the men and blah, blah, blah. That's because you're automatically thinking negative, and you're automatically assuming that things are going to go left. Marriage can be a beautiful thing. It's what you make it. But if you know you're not faithful, then obviously, yeah, you're not want to get married, because you're going to have to be held accountable for your actions. But is that wrong technically? No, it's not. Because let's give an example. For example, this story, for example, this innocent woman, beautiful heart woman, from what it seems like, got married to this man thinking everything was good, everything was right. This is her life partner. She had a child. I don't know if she has more than one. She just said her son, but she had a child for this man. Okay, we all know everything that goes into giving birth as a woman. Your body changes. You have hormones. Like, you may or may not can work afterwards. Like, it's just a lot of stuff that your body goes through as a woman. Your body will never be the same after you give birth. You don't have that same body that you do have. Even when you work out and stuff, just everything is not exactly the same like it used to be, okay? And anytime that y'all break up or decide not to be together, that is baggage now that she has. So you can just go out there and be like, oh, let me go start a brand new family. Let me go have another child and all of that, when she has the baggage of your child/children. So she can go out there in the dating world, but she's always going to have that baggage. Her body's always going to be different. Everything is always going to be different. So she can't go out there on the dating market as a brand new individual, when you, on the other end, can, dang near, because a lot of the times the kids end up staying with the mother. But so you can go back out there on the dating market with, already being established, because as time goes by, men usually get more established. So they usually go out of the marriage with more versus what they went into it with. Usually, not all the time with child support and stuff, but just saying what they were making prior to getting married versus like after getting divorced, etc. Usually they grow in their career. So it's like you can go out there on the dating market as a divorced man with no children living with you full time, and that's easier for you to date versus a woman who now is a divorced mom of 1, 2, 3, 4 children, and she don't have that same luxury of like, oh yeah, look, she's new on the market, I can have children with her, I can do all this. Like, no, she spent her whole life with you. Even if let's say she didn't even have a job or anything, she might not have no income, no education, no work experience for a long time. She changed her whole life around for you. So as it should be a good business decision of, if you break the contract of this marriage, she should be able to walk away with half of it. Especially this woman who got married at 29, you took all of her youth years. So yeah, she should be able to get half the profits of the house, half of any retirement accounts or anything else you got, because she can't go out there and find another husband being, she can find another husband, but I mean like the same youthful way she was before. So as it should, but again, men who are afraid to do that are men who know that they're going to mess up. And it's like, if you're going to mess up, just don't get married. Simple, easy. And some of y'all don't need to be in monogamous relationships. Be honest with yourself. I don't think I can be with one woman. Okay, that's fine. Then don't get married. Don't get in a committed relationship. There are plenty of women out here who are fine with the poly relationship as long as you have the money for it. So this is a messed up story. Definitely make sure y'all follow her. Here is her YouTube page. This is what it looks like. So make sure y'all follow her and support her. Like, comment, subscribe. I will see y'all in the next one.